I don't know how many people I'm gonna offend tonight, but let's take it as it comes. No constitutional right to an abortion. Supreme Court overturns constitutional right to abortion. This article was published on June 24th, which is today at 3:11 p.m. The Supreme Court on Friday eliminated the constitutional right to obtain an abortion, casting aside 49 years of precedent that began with Roe v. Wade. The decision by Justice Samuel Alito will set off a seismic shift in reproductive rights across the United States. It will allow states to ban abortions, and experts expect about half the states to do so. All right, well, that doesn't make it illegal. It doesn't make it illegal, huh? All it did is just leaves it up to the state now. M says it was never constitutional. They're misusing the term. In one of the most anticipated rulings in decades, the court overturned Roe, which first declared a constitutional right to abortion in 1973, and Planned Parenthood v. Casey, which reaffirmed that right in 1992. The decision followed the leak in early May of a draft opinion showing that a majority of the justices were privately poised to take that step. On Friday, they made it official. The vote to overturn Roe was 5-4. Justices Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett joined Alito's opinion. Chief Justice John Roberts did not join the opinion. He agreed with the majority that the Mississippi abortion restriction at issue in the case should be upheld, but in a separate opinion, he argued that the court should not have overturned Roe. All right, well, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what this is, Mississippi abortion restriction. What's the Mississippi abortion case about? The constitutionality of a 2018 Mississippi state law that bans most abortion operations after the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. Lower courts have prevented enforcement of the law with preliminary injunctions. I see. 15 weeks. How many months is that? 15 weeks pregnant. Belly. Okay. So when you're just starting to show. Ooh, this lady she's big already. This lady's really big. Holy. I mean, at that point, you haven't decided yet? No offense. The court's three liberals, Justices Stephen Breyer, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, filled a joint dissent. They called the majority opinion a violation of women's autonomy and said it would harm the court's legitimacy and jeopardize other constitutional rights. The decision came in Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, a challenge to a 2018 Mississippi law that bans virtually all abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy. The law carves out exceptions for medical emergencies and cases involving a severe fetal abnormality, but does not make exceptions for cases involving rape or incest. It never went into effect, however, because the lower courts, including the conservative U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, found the law clearly inconsistent with Roe and Casey and blocked the state from enforcing it. Friday's decision reversed the lower courts and upheld the law. Its impact will spread far beyond Mississippi's 15-week abortion law. By renouncing Roe and Casey and decades of other abortion cases that relied on those decisions, the decision permits states to implement far more restrictive abortion laws. Mississippi itself has indicated that it will enforce a different state law passed in 2007 that prohibits virtually all abortions except to save the life of the mother or in cases involving rape. A dozen other states have passed similar legislation known as trigger laws because they were drafted to go into effect if Roe and Casey were overturned. An analysis by the Guttmacher Institute predicts that 26 states are likely to ban all or nearly all abortions. Well, I'm gonna come off as an asshole, but if you need an abortion that bad, go to another state. Alito began his 79-page opinion by observing that abortion presents a profound moral issue on which Americans hold sharply conflicting views, but the Constitution does not refer to abortion at all. Although the Supreme Court has recognized some constitutional rights as protected by the Due Process Clause, even if they are not expressly mentioned in the Constitution, the right to an abortion is not one of them, Alito explained. Among other things, he noted, the court has required such rights to be deeply rooted in our nation's history. But until the second half of the 20th century, Alito observed, there was no support in U.S. law for the right to an abortion. Indeed, he pointed out, most states regarded abortion as a crime. Alright, I'm going to have to just check on my salad. 1 second. Yesterday I broke my fast with mulberries, and then I've basically been eating since. I had fruit, I had nuts. This is the first thing I'm cooking. Acorn squash. Once that's cooked, I'm gonna put this in there. Oyster mushrooms. And it's gonna go on this bed of arugula. This is recycle. Arugula. Okay. Lentils not live food either. Sorry. Red onion. But you can make curry easy. You can make live food curry very easily. Now, the acorn squash is steaming. I'm going to lay that out like this. Then I'm going to steam the mushrooms and then cut the stems off. Let me just grab a fork right here and do a little check. See if it's soft. It's actually getting there. I don't want to, overcook it. But let's see. Once I finish this article, I'll get to your comments there. Let's finish this. The majority contended that Friday's ruling would not undermine other decisions by the court involving fundamental rights that the Constitution does not expressly mention, such as the right to contraception and the rights to same-sex intimacy and marriage. Unlike those rights, Alito wrote, abortion terminates what Roe and Casey referred to as potential life and what the Mississippi law refers to as an unborn human being. Nothing in this opinion, Alito added later, should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. Because abortion does not involve a fundamental right, Alito wrote, the Mississippi law is subject to the most lenient standard of review, known as rational basis scrutiny. Rational basis scrutiny means the level of scrutiny applied by courts while determining cases involving issues of constitutional due process or equal protection issues pertaining to the Fifth Amendment or 14th Amendment. The Fifth Amendment protects against the abuse of government authority in legal rights and legal proceedings. And the 14th Amendment I guess the 14th Amendment granted citizenship to all people born in or naturalized in the United States, including formerly enslaved people. Equal protection of the law. Okay. Laws can survive rational basis review if there's a rational basis on which the legislature could have thought that it would serve legitimate state interests. Because the legislature enacted the Mississippi law to, among other things, assert the state's interest in protecting the life of the unborn, and because it regarded the procedure commonly used for abortions after the 5th week of pregnancy as barbaric and demeaning to the medical profession, Alito concluded, the abortion providers challenge to the law must fail. Well, what's the abortion after? What's the procedure? Is it the one where they suck the baby parts out? Dilation and evacuation. Oh, yep, it's the... No, wait. Dilation and evacuation. I don't want to see pictures. Suction, aspiration, dilation, and evacuation. Alright, hopefully they don't put a picture as the first one. How's the dilation and evacuation performed? A combination of the vacuum aspiration and the use of surgical tools such as forceps. Okay. So what's a vacuum aspiration? Is that piece by piece or they suck the whole thing out? Empty the uterus after a miscarriage or fetal loss. What happens? A tube is inserted through the cervix and into the uterus, and the vagina is open to use using a speculum. The embryo and the uterine lining are then suctioned into a bottle using a suction pump. Okay, so the whole thing comes out as one? It's not a what is that, partial birth abortion? Is that the one where they take it out piece by piece? Oh, I wanted to be a doctor when I was younger, but I can't deal with the gore. Calling the majority opinion a serious jolt to the legal system, Roberts agreed with the decision to uphold the Mississippi law, but he would have done so without formally overruling Roe and Casey, echoing a position that he took at the oral argument, which then as now did not seem to attract any other supporters. Roberts would have allowed states to continue to regulate abortion without regard to whether the fetus has become viable, that is, the point at which it can survive outside the womb. In Casey, the court ruled that states may not ban abortions after the point of viability, which is typically considered to be at 22 to 24 weeks of pregnancy. Really? So in Casey, the court said that you're not allowed to ban abortions after the baby can live on its own. Sheesh. You can't just prematurely birth it and then let it live? At that point, you gotta kill it, huh? Oof. I know I'm gonna offend somebody. I looked into my son's eyes when he was pulled out. He was an emergency C-section because my wife had narrow hips. These acorns are there. I looked into my son's eyes and I saw my own eyes. and I, at that point, was forever changed. So far, they haven't made abortion illegal. And what I think is the solution is to get an abortion in another state. If your state outlaws abortion, move to another state or go get your abortion in another state. You got plenty of time. You know, if they let you do an abortion at, 22 to 24 weeks, you got plenty of time to get it. I don't see the problem yet, but let me read a little more. I'm not trying to be insensitive. And I'm not going to give you a religious or moral opinion. Okay? I'm going to try to come at it from a point of science. Because my religion is based in science. My religion is based in the Native American natural science. And life is important. You know, I'm also a conspiracy theorist, and I think that a lot of... Oh, these are hot peppers. I'm going to make a sauce, too. I forgot about that. I think that these Satanists are getting pregnant on purpose and then having a late-term abortion and then doing rituals on the babies. That's what I think. I'm a conspiracy theorist. They birth the babies and then they drink the blood and they eat the babies. The Satanists. I've seen women say that it's a religious right. They say if you make abortion illegal, you're treading on my religious rights. Look that up. Roberts explained that the court's prior cases had adopted two distinct, and I'm against that, by the way. I'm against satanic blood drinking and human sacrifice. No matter the age, whether it's a baby or a kid or, you know, anybody. I'm against human sacrifice. I think it's unnatural to consume the blood of any animal as a human, as a frugivore, as an anatomical frugivore, okay? This, I wanted to see Chris Wade fight. This I'm watching later, Mad God, if I can. It's stop motion animation. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but what was I doing over here? Oh, that's right. Sight, Life Food Certified, Anatomy. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. 44 categories of anatomy that put us in the category of this animal here, which is called a frugivore. Frugivores evolved to eat the body of a flowering plant, which in botany means a fruit. So anything that has a flower in botany is a fruit. Almonds are fruits. Peppers are fruits. Cucumbers, quinoa, you know, everything that is on my menu. My ingredients list. Most of it's fruit. Some of it's herbs. Some of it falls into the category of vegetables. Not omnivore, though, and not carnivore. Not even herbivore. Roberts explained that the court's prior cases had adopted two distinct rules of constitutional law: the right to end a pregnancy and the state's power to override that right at the point that the fetus becomes viable. Because the viability line never made any sense, Roberts wrote, he would abandon that timing rule. I agree. The right to terminate a pregnancy, Roberts reasoned, should extend far enough to ensure a reasonable opportunity to choose, but need not extend any further. The court could and should, Roberts wrote, leave for another day whether to reject any right to an abortion at all. I don't understand what's going on in this paragraph. What kind of hot peppers did I get? I'll show you. They're not red yet, but they're habanero. What you know about habanero, Rick? You know about habanero? I bet you do. I don't know if I should put both in, though. I got two because they're orange. I was thinking to myself, is the orange one less hot than the red? I might just put one in. I don't want it to make it too hot. Concurrence from Kavanaugh and Thomas. Kavanaugh joined the Alito opinion, but wrote a separate concurring opinion in which he emphasized that the Constitution is neutral on abortion, and therefore this court must also be scrupulously neutral on the question. The 9 unelected members of this court do not possess the constitutional authority to override the democratic process and to decree either a pro-life or pro-choice abortion policy for all 33 million people in the United States. That's a good point. That's a good point. He's saying that it shouldn't be a Supreme Court decision, and it should be a state decision. I had no opinion about this, but now I'm agreeing. But let's see what happens at the end. Kavanaugh also stressed the limits of Friday's ruling. The court's opinion, he wrote, does not outlaw abortion throughout the United States, but instead properly leaves the question of abortion for the people and their representatives. It also, he said, does not threaten or cast doubt on decisions like Griswold or Obergefell. Moreover, he suggested, other questions that may flow from the court's ruling, such as whether states can ban their residents from traveling to another state to obtain an abortion, or whether a state can punish a resident who obtained an abortion before Friday's ruling, are not especially difficult as a constitutional matter. The answer, Kavanaugh said, is no. Okay, so my solution is still valid. States cannot ban their residents from traveling to another state to obtain an abortion. But a concurring opinion by Thomas indicated that, at least for him, decisions like Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell are very much in doubt. Thomas reiterated his view that the Constitution's Due Process Clause only protects process, the right to have the government follow proper procedures before taking away someone's life, liberty, or property. Sheesh. So you don't have any life, liberty, you don't have any rights to life, liberty, or property. You only have the right for the government to do proper procedures before taking away your life, liberty, and property. Oh my God! The Due Process Clause, Thomas wrote, does not protect any substantive rights. Gee whiz. What is this world? Because the Alito opinion concluded The girlfriend, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks, bro, and she's supposed to be coming over later. She went to a concert, and I'm gonna pick her up from the train. Because the Alito opinion concluded that there's no right to an abortion even under the Supreme Court's substantive due process cases, Thomas explained, he joined the court's opinion. But in a future case, he urged, the court should reject substantive due process entirely and reconsider cases like Griswold Lawrence and Obergefell. Ayo! Woo woo! I made a sex chair too. Let me show you. I mean, I didn't make it, but. It's hard to see, but there's ropes that are attached under here. So her feet are going to get tied like that. And then there's ropes over here, and her hands are going to get tied like this. Feet tied here, hands tied down here. This was a chair that the people I babysit for were getting rid of. So, I don't know what kind of mood she's going to be in. Hopefully she's tipsy and I could take advantage of her. Hey-o! Okay. Now the mushrooms are probably overcooked. But I'm gonna take them out. Don't drop it. I gave Sir Doyle my steam tray, so I had to jimmy rig something with a strainer. All right, I'm gonna let those kind of sweat a little bit. Finish this article. Stop what, Londos? You jealous? Sorry, bro. We're talking about abortion. I can't talk about sex. Go read the Bible and then whip yourself for watching my stream. Do one of those punishments because you sinned. You know, what do they call that? Flogging. Punish yourself for sinning. Self-flagellation. There you go. Go flagellate yourself, Londos. Go flagellate yourself for watching my stream. This is you. There's Londos after watching my stream. The liberal justices' dissent. In a rare joint dissent, Breyer, Sotomayor, and Kagan pushed back against the majority's characterization of the decision as merely leaving the issue of abortion to the states. We believe, they wrote, in a constitution that puts some issues off limits to a majority rule. The dissenters also rejected Kavanaugh's depiction of Friday's ruling as neutral on abortion. The court, they said, does not act neutrally when it leaves everything up to the states. Rather, the court acts neutrally when it protects the right against all comers. Kavanaugh's position, they insisted, was instead a brook no compromise refusal to recognize a woman's right to choose. The dissenters warned that despite assurances to the contrary, no one should be confident that the majority is done with its work. The right to an abortion at the core of Roe and Casey, the dissenters explained, is part of the same constitutional fabric as the rights to contraception and same-sex intimacy and marriage. Either the mass of the majority's opinion is hypocrisy, the dissenters suggested, or additional constitutional rights are under threat. It's one or the other. The three justices closed their 60-page dissent by 60 pages by arguing that Friday's ruling had undermined the legitimacy of the court. The plurality in Casey, Justices Sandra Day O'Connor, Anthony Kennedy, and David Souter, believed that the public should never conclude that its constitutional protections hung by a thread, that a new majority could, by dint of numbers alone, expunge their rights. But by overruling Roe and Casey, the dissenters contended, the court had betrayed its guiding principles. Notably, the dissenters finished by noting not only that they dissented, omitting the word respectfully that commonly accompanies the dissent. Well, just by going by this last paragraph, and this part in particular had undermined the legitimacy of the court, I believe this case is part of a greater plan to put more judges on the court and use that to take away more of our rights. They'll reverse this back over. The new judges will reverse this back over. And then they're going to take away more of our rights, like things like probably rights to bodily autonomy. They're going to say, oh, well, you can't put other people at risk, and therefore you have to have this experimental medical procedure. If you know what I'm talking about. It goes like this. You know? You can't put other people at risk. You don't have a right to hurt other people, even if you're healthy. You have to preemptively get an experimental medical procedure. Could be. I don't know. Just a theory. Roe and Casey overturned 6-3. Many protest gatherings expected. Let's see if that's going to bring up anything else. Okay, Roe v. Wade decision. How big U.S. cities are preparing for protests. And then Em wanted me to look up, something about Biden? He says, it's important to understand that this was a reaction to threats to overturn the Second Amendment. Roe v. Wade expanded federal power and had to be repealed as a defense. Let's watch this quick video here.
We have been going across the country, door knocking in our community.
Hello? Police departments in major cities across the country were monitoring extremist groups as they prepared for potential violent protests Friday over the Roe v. Wade ruling. New York City cops braced for a long night with beefed-up patrols as pro-abortion protesters planned to gather in Washington Square and Union Square in Manhattan on Friday night. What do you think you're going to accomplish? I mean, come on. In Dallas, Texas, workers boarded up windows on a federal building downtown and were seen putting fencing around the perimeter as one social media group urged protesters to avoid posting pictures online and to wear a mask and nondescript clothing. The pro-abortion radical group Jane's Revenge, which has already claimed attacks and vandalism since the leak of the draft opinion overturning Roe, published a letter last week declaring open season on pro-life pregnancy crisis centers. That's not the solution. Come on. Jane's Revenge, though, reminds me of my ex-girlfriend. We were surprised to see 30 days come and 30 days pass with no sign of conciliance or even bare minimum self-reflection from you, the letter dated June 14th reads. History may not repeat itself, but it certainly rhymes, and we've already seen such stanzas where the medical autonomy is stripped away, humanity is increasingly criminalized, and merely surviving becomes largely untenable. The letter described how easy and fun it is to attack and vowed to take increasingly drastic measures against oppressive infrastructure. Well, I think it's hypocritical if you are pro-abortion, but you would commit violence on another person. I think that's hypocritical because on one hand, you're saying bodily autonomy. On the other hand, you're taking away a person's right to be protected themselves. This is why everybody should do martial arts. You get a respect for violence and a respect for people's, space. Every fighter I know is not going around fighting people. People who do martial arts, they learn when it's appropriate to do violence. And not when you're emotional and not when you're trying to prove a point about something. I'm not going to read any more of this, but what did M say? Something about Joe Biden. And then I'll end it on this. Oh, Kinnan. Kinnan had curried lentils. Oh, okay. No, that's one thing I never do. I never go off live food. Em, you're smart though, huh? I'd really like to see your reaction to Joe Biden's reaction to the ruling. All right. So, Joe Biden's reaction to Supreme Court abortion. I'm just typing in, stuff. Biden remarks. Okay, Biden calls court. Let's see if we can watch the video.
It's not hyperbole to suggest a very solemn moment. Today, the Supreme Court of the United States expressly took away the constitutional right from the American people that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. That's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans. But they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country. Years ago, Roe v. Wade was decided. All the land since then. This landmark case protected women's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics. It reaffirmed basic principles of equality, that women have the power to control their own destiny, and it reinforced a fundamental right of privacy, the right of each of us to choose how to live our lives. Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk.
The health and life of women are at risk. And the greatest threat and the biggest cause of death for women is heart disease. And that's a lifestyle disease. But nobody wants to talk about the role of the food industry on health, do they? I think that's the biggest issue of our time. The role that the food industry and the agricultural industry plays in human death and environmental destruction.
As chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, as vice president and now as president of the United States, I've studied this case carefully.
Yeah, right.
I've overseen more Supreme Court confirmations than anyone today, where this case was always discussed. I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy. It was a decision on a complex matter that drew a careful balance between a woman's right to choose earlier in her pregnancy and the state's ability to regulate later in her pregnancy. A decision with broad national consensus that most Americans of faith and backgrounds found acceptable, that have been the law of the land for most of the lifetime of Americans today. And it was a constitutional principle upheld by justices appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents alike. Roe v. Wade was a 7-2 decision, written by a justice appointed by a Republican president, Richard Nixon. In the 5 decades that followed Roe v. Wade, justices appointed by Republican presidents from Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan, George W. Bush, were among the justices who voted to uphold the principles set forth in Roe v. Wade. It was 3 justices named by one president, Donald Trump, who were the core of today's decision to upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country. Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset the balance of our law. It's a realization of an extreme ideology and a tragic error by the Supreme Court, in my view. The court has done what it has never done before, expressly take away a constitutional right that is so fundamental to so many Americans that had already been recognized. The court's decision to do so will have real and immediate consequences. State laws banning abortion are automatically taking effect today, jeopardizing the health of millions of women, some without exceptions. So extreme that women can be punished for protecting their health. So extreme that women and girls are forced to bear their rapist's child.
Oh God, you know the percentage of abortions that actually fall into those, but that he's using to argue his case is so small. It's just, I can't. I've dated girls who had abortions. I've never taken a friend to get an abortion. I never had to. I've bought morning after pills. I bought 2 of those. One for my current girlfriend. One for my current girlfriend, and actually maybe I bought 3. I'm trying to remember. The morning after pill. It's like, really? The woman's life is in danger because she can't get a late-term abortion? Is the morning after pill made illegal now? You know what? This whole problem would be fixed if people did semen retention. I swear to God. Just learn semen retention. Stop shooting your fucking load. You can't get pregnant from pre-cum. That's a myth. I don't care what anybody says. And also, I have a friend. I wouldn't actually call her a friend. It's a girl I know. Yeah, I'll call her a friend. I mean, we're kind of cool. She was telling me she plans her sex to correlate with her ovulation cycle, and she knows there's only a window where she can get pregnant, and she lets her boyfriend just blow inside of her, and she doesn't get pregnant. Now, she might not be able to get pregnant because you know, a lot of girls have this cystic fibrosis because of birth control pills, because it's actually a form of cancer where you get these like cysts, and that's the second biggest killer of women, cancer, after heart disease, and it's all lifestyle related. People are gonna say, "Oh, you can't talk about women's bodies because you're not a woman." I'm just talking about it from a health perspective. It's human health. Alright? I'm going to try and keep talking about it from a human health perspective. Abortion raises your risk of cancer by an extreme amount. It's not even a little bit. It's like 300% or something. I don't see what the emergency is. You got the morning after pill, do semen retention, and tantric sex. Stop letting your boyfriend fuck his load inside you, and refer him to me. I'll teach him. I'm gonna make an OnlyFans. I'm gonna teach men how to do semen retention. I just gotta get a chick to do it with me. Because I'm not going to make jerk-off porn. I think that's not going to be a big seller. Alright, there's one habanero pepper. I'm going to thicken it up with just a little bit of pumpkin seeds that I have left. I used the rest last night when I was getting fat. I'm gonna make this a sweet and hot sauce. So I'm gonna put honey in it. You know, I wouldn't, if I was choosing the articles that I was gonna talk about, I wouldn't have chosen that. You know, it's too controversial. But that's what they sent to me. The government. You can't go wrong with agreeing with the Supreme Court, though. They have, whether you agree with them or not, they have legal reasons for doing what they're doing. The Supreme Court goes by the book. And they're still leaving it up to the states, so I don't see the big deal. I'm sorry. Hate me now. The native teaching on this would be to respect life. I don't know if I can say pro-life without being considered anti-abortion, though. Can I be pro-life and not anti-abortion? I don't know. What do you think? Can I be but not be anti-abortion? Oh, spicy. Let me put a little cumin in there. So the pumpkin seed's gonna be the fat in this dressing. I don't have any olive oil. me finish off with this by saying this. If somebody came to me and they said they needed an abortion, I would take them. If my girlfriend got pregnant and she said, I don't want to have the baby, I'm not going to force her to have it. I would say I would like to keep it. But ultimately, she gets to make the choice. And if you live in a state where abortions are legal, you gotta move. Or at least go to another state to have your abortion. And that's it. I'm not gonna eat this whole salad, obviously, it's huge. But I poured the dressing on because tomorrow it will be kind of like a pickle. Fix that thing. What thing? What are you talking about? Chris Wade is PFL. Stop when you get to the point to 8. Yeah. Well, you don't have to stop at 8. You can hold at 8. When you get almost to 9, you have to stop. Don't get to 9 though. You know, hold at 8, hold at 7. You can stop at 8. Sometimes I do. Usually, you know, what's been happening lately is I'll actually get to 9, but my muscles have gotten so strong from practicing all these years that I'm able to stop at 9. Usually it's the point of no return, but I think, pretty sure that's what the multiple orgasm is all about. Basically, you get to 9, you stop, it goes back down, you have an orgasm at 9. It's the beginning of an orgasm. It's not a full release. So, I guess I got time to figure out how I'm gonna describe this. You know. So this salad will be like pickled tomorrow because of the dressing will be sitting on it. Chicken and seafood's hot. It is. It's hot. Good thing I didn't put both in. Anything else, guys? I'm gonna end it here. I'm not anti-abortion. I'm pro-health. I love babies. I love people. I want everybody to be healthy and happy. And that's my mission. Master Lukey, The Safest Way World Tour. Here's the book I'm reading. I'm up to chapter 11, I think, or 4. I forgot what chapter. I'm like 50 pages in. Master Lukey's League of Champions. We're gonna get a bus, go across America, and then the world. I'm gonna have a baby on each continent. Thank you, Rick. Thanks for being here. You got any more questions? Just hit me up. Go to MasterLukey.com about page 24/7. And I'll be back. Over and out.